Hail travelers, and welcome to the Knight's Realm. Here in the realm of Camelot, I, the Guardian Knight, venture deep into the archives of popular culture and entertainment to bring you all my own perspective on such matters. Where the 2007 Transformers film was, despite a few flaws, a fairly competent film in and of itself, its immediate sequel was not. Revenge of the Fallen is to this day infamous for being the movie without a script. It was created during the writer's strike of 07 to 08, and as such only had a basic outline created by Michael Bay, Alex Kurtzman, and Roberta Orci. This is painfully obvious when one watches the film itself. It feels like the writers only had the beginning and end plotted out, as those are the only parts that are engaging in the slightest. Unlike its predecessor or the two sequels that would follow, Revenge of the Fallen's core concept was lacking, to say the least. The final product felt more like a bad Indiana Jones parody with aliens than a Transformers movie. So, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Hey, both had Shia LaBeouf in them. Jokes aside, this film proved far more difficult to rewrite than 07, as its sins were far more numerous and egregious. Going into this rewrite with the same rules as last time's, trying to stay as close to the original story as possible, severely limited my options. That being said, I was eventually able to come up with a storyline that both served as a satisfactory sequel and stayed as true as possible to the original film. Now, join me as we delve deep beneath the castle and begin our quest. To recap the events of the first film, there are only two major elements going in that alter the beginning of the sequel. Both Jazz and Megatron survived the first movie. Beyond that, the general plot remained the same. The Decepticons attacked Qatar, Sam was hunted for his ancestors' glasses because they contained a map to the Allspark, the Autobots arrived on Earth, everyone met up at the Hoover Dam, Megatron awoke from a 1,000-year slumber, the Autobots and Decepticons battled over the Allspark, and the Allspark was destroyed in the ensuing conflict. Minor changes included the eschewing of Judy Witwicky, making Ron a widower, the inclusion of Chip Chase in place of Maggie and Glenn, and changing Michaela Baines to Carly Spencer. Another inclusion was adding Soundwave to the Decepticon roster and fleshing out the other Decepticons, especially Starscream. The story ended with the Allspark's energy being dispersed, the Autobots declaring their intent to defend Earth, and Megatron vowing revenge on Optimus. With that out of the way, let's dive in. Like the original film, we begin with a prologue set thousands of years ago. Optimus Prime relates to us the history of the early days of Cybertron, while a montage plays in the background. Long before our war began, Cybertron was ruled by the 13. The original Primes who preceded me. For many millennia, they ruled together in harmony. Until one day, one of their number betrayed them. He fought against his brothers in a war that ended the golden age of Cybertron. Though he fought furiously, he was eventually defeated and exiled from Cybertron. Thenceforth, he became known only as the Fallen forevermore, his true name becoming lost to history. The Fallen left Cybertron, never to be heard from again. Yet that was not the end of him. We then see the Fallen landing on Earth thousands of years in the past. However, instead of vague, primitive tribes, it's going to be ancient Egypt, 5,000 years before the modern day. For context, in this rewrite, the Cybertron Civil War has been going on for over 2,000 years, and Megatron was frozen in ice for around 1,000 years. I think I said thousands in the previous video, but that's mostly because I hadn't worked out this detail yet. Fortunately, it doesn't change much. 1,000 years on ice is still a long time, even for a Cybertronian. Plus, the 4 million years of war has always been kind of ridiculous. So, 3,000 years prior to the start of the Great War, a primitive Cybertronian landed on Earth. Now, while we're going to be tying Earth and Cybertron together, we're not pulling in ancient aliens and having the pyramids be built by aliens. Besides, the pyramids won't have been built for about 500 years at this point. No, Hollywood, ancient Egypt wasn't just a single era that lasted for nearly 4,000 years with zero development, any more so than the medieval era remained stagnant for 1,000 years. Comparing the Old Kingdom to the Middle and Late Kingdoms is like comparing modern-day America to pre-colonial America. That's 3,000 years of history. Anyway, history nerd rant aside, the Fallen lands and sets himself up as a god. However, it soon becomes clear to the ancient kingdoms that this god is not a benevolent one. After 500 to 600 years, the ancient Egyptians under Pharaoh Khufu rebel against their dark god. They are no match for him, however. Fortunately, the Fallen's activities do not go unnoticed by the other Primes, who come to Earth and imprison him. When the Primes depart, the Egyptians contain the Fallen's prison within the Great Pyramid of Giza. So the Fallen didn't build the pyramids, but they were built to contain him. No, I don't believe this is the actual reason the pyramids were built, any more than I believe giant robots landed on Earth in 2007, 1984, 4 million BC, or any other time. This is a science fantasy film with a history that doesn't match our own. And so the Fallen waited, imprisoned beneath the pyramid for many thousands of years. Only the power of the Primes kept him contained. Until now. A scene shows the Battle of the Mojave, the final moments before the Allspark is destroyed. As the Allspark's energy disperses, we see its effect on Starscream, Megatron, Optimus, and Sam. It then watches the explosion courses throughout the Earth. Energon crystals sprout in diverse locations. Deep beneath the Great Pyramid of Giza, an Energon surge activates a large sarcophagus, awakening its inhabitant. As the prologue ends, we transition to modern day, or at least 2009. As a result of Optimus Prime's message at the end of the last movie, the Autobots' numbers have been bolstered. Joining Prime, Jazz, Ironhide, Ratchet, and Bumblebee are the twins, Sideswipe and Sunstreaker, RC, and Skids. The reason behind the inclusion of these characters is actually to reflect existing characters in the film. Both Sideswipe and Skids are present in Revenge of the Fallen, as is RC, sort of. But Sunstreaker is a new inclusion. In the films, the twins are known as Skids and Mudflap, and they are easily two of the worst characters in any Transformers property. However, in most versions of the mythos, the Autobot twins are Sideswipe and Sunstreaker, and I honestly could not pass up the chance to introduce this duo. That being said, I did not want to issue Skids, as outside of this movie he's actually a great character. Additionally, I saw an opportunity. Another member of the Autobot cast in the film is Jolt, a blue Autobot who is just kinda there. The only notable thing he does is help Ratchet in repairing and upgrading Optimus in the film's climax. Now to note, while in the film Skids is green, in the Marvel 90W comics and the G1 cartoon, Skids is blue, like Jolt. Essentially, I decided to give the Jolt character more screen time and change his name to reflect another existing Autobot. That's a major change that this rewrite is going to undertake, giving all of the Autobots and Decepticons more screen time. After Optimus is killed in the forest battle, all the Autobots except Bee and the twins sit around and do nothing until the climax. It was really idiotic to see the cast get sidelined like that, especially with the introduction of all these new characters, many of which ended up dying in the climax anyway. The Decepticon cast had this issue as well, but we'll get there when we get there. The film begins with a Decepticon raid on an oil refinery. With the Allspark's supposed destruction, the cons are desperately searching for new sources of Energon. This will establish that, as in the G1 cartoon, energy sources such as oil, electricity, and solar power can be converted into Energon. However, the converted Energon is less potent than the pure Energon generated by sources such as the Allspark. Thus, the Decepticons need to harvest more. And, seeing as how they're Decepticons, they go about collecting the Energon rather ruthlessly. Now, the Autobots are not in as dire straits as the Decepticons in terms of Energon, due to their alliance with the US government. One major faction tweak begins here. Nest, the Human Autobot Alliance, is portrayed much like G.I. Joe in the original film, being a top-secret military organization specializing in fighting against terrorism. Of course, in this case, the terrorism is alien in origin, but the point remains. Unfortunately, Nest's role in the original film severely contributed to the two main problems of this franchise: a bloated number of human characters and a lack of focus on the Transformers. As such, we are altering Nest's role in this rewrite to be closer to the organization in Transformers Prime. While military in nature, they do not actively engage with the Decepticons unless absolutely necessary. Instead, their main objective is to keep the Transformers a secret and serve as cleanup after the battles, as well as preventing Cybertronian technology from falling into the wrong hands and providing the Autobots with a base of operations and a steady supply of energy sources. So, the Department of Damage Control from Marvel Comics. Even with Nest's help, however, the Autobots' peaceful nature prevents them from procuring large quantities of Energon by force, and, as previously stated, converted Energon is less potent than the real stuff. This Energon crisis will be the crux of the film, the driving force behind both Autobot and Decepticon. It will also be what ties one Sam Witwicky back into the plot, but once again, we'll get there when we get there. Back to the rewrite, the oil refinery, located in an abandoned sector of Hong Kong, is being attacked by a squad led by one of the Constructicons, Scavenger, and comprised of several Vehicons. We'll be calling them Vehicons instead of protoforms or dreads because I much prefer that term. Also, a protoform is an unformed transformer, not a generic foot soldier. Michael Bay. The Decepticons are wreaking havoc, as is their nature, when they receive a warning over their comlinks. Alert, alert, Autobots detected. Scavenger and his cronies glance around, drawing their weapons. Suddenly, 2 Lamborghinis veer into frame, knocking a pair of Vehicons into the air. The red Lambo transforms, revealing himself as Sideswipe. Much like in his introduction in the original film, Sideswipe draws a sword and bisects a fleeing Decepticon, because this was an admittedly awesome moment. However, instead of it being a named Decepticon who was wasted for the sake of a cool moment, it's just a Vehicon. Sideswipe continues cutting down Vehicons swiftly, showing off both his skill and his cocky nature. Frag, I'm good. As the cocky young Autobot is celebrating, a Vehicon pops up behind him and aims his weapons. The Decepticon drone is foiled by the yellow Lambo transforming and filling him full of blaster bolts from his twin Energon pistols. Don't get cocky, bro. You were almost scrap metal. Who's cocky? I'm just that good. A pink and black motorcycle zooms onto the screen. As it nears the twins, its holographic rider fades away and it transforms into RC, who executes a series of flips and mows down Vehicons that the 2 younger bots missed. She chides them, telling them to stop bragging and start shooting. RC is shown to be more experienced than the twins, on the level of Autobots like Ironhide and Jazz. The reason her color scheme is pink and black is an homage to her original concept design for the films, not her existing weird one-legged design. What were these designers thinking? Anyway, elsewhere in the compound, more Vehicons are faced with 3 more Autobots, a familiar red truck and silver Porsche, and an unfamiliar blue van. The newcomer transforms, revealing himself as Skids, and aims his double-barreled electron blaster at the cons. This will set up the electric powers that Jolt had in the original film, while also paying homage to Skids' G1 weaponry. Ironhide and Jazz also transform, the weapons master drawing his cannons, and the lieutenant activating his sonic beams, in the form of music, naturally. Sector clear, Prime. RC reports the same at her end. Suddenly, Scavenger crashes through a wall near Sideswipe and Sunstreaker, knocking them aside. Being an excavator, Scavenger is significantly larger than the twins and RC. The Constructicon barrels through the refinery, causing destruction as he goes. Prime! Big decon on the move! I'm on my way. Jazz, Ironhide, and the Skids try to slow Scavenger down. The Constructicon does not even react to them. Heroic music swells and a red and blue semi drives into frame. Scavenger, while big, is nowhere near the size of the original film Scavenger and Demolisher, so Prime is able to knock him off course easily. As the Constructicon spirals out of control, Optimus transforms and draws his ion rifle. Stand down. Scavenger transforms as all 7 Autobots close in on him. Your days are numbered, Optimus Prime. Megatron will have his revenge. With that, the Constructicon blasts at an oil tank, causing an explosion that distracts the Autobots long enough for him to get away. Autobots! Way ahead of you, OP! The Autobots mobilize to contain the explosion, and are eventually able to. Unfortunately, Scavenger was able to escape. Optimus activates his comm. Ratchet, put me in touch with Nest headquarters. Connecting you now, Optimus. This is Optimus Prime. Respond, please. Rolling into frame is a familiar wheelchair-bound analyst, Chip Chase. This is Chip, Optimus. Go ahead. Chip, inform Major Lennox that we have secured the oil refinery. On it. Autobots, return to base. Not bad for our first mission on this rock, eh, bro? Quit your preening. You'd been full of holes if I hadn't been there. I had it all under control. RC smacks them both upside the head while Ironhide and Jazz chuckle to themselves. Skids walks somewhat silently behind Optimus. He's not the most talkative Autobot. That being said, he does have a smile on his face. Optimus, on the other hand, has a grave look in his eyes. The scene changes to the Nemesis, still in orbit. Scavenger returns, looking quite worse for wear. Starscream stands on the bridge and crosses his arms, looking at the Constructicon, smugly. The mighty Scavenger returns, and empty-handed it seems. Shut up, Starscream. That's Commander Starscream to you, Constructicon. You'd best show some respect, especially since I actually succeeded in my mission. Congratulations, Starscream. You secured a mere pittance of Energon from an abandoned quarry. The Decepticon leader strides onto the bridge. Megatron has undergone a bit of an upgrade since the last film, mostly as a result of the wounds he sustained. He is even larger and more menacing than before, and he has had a blade installed in his right arm along with his mace.
None of these victories are worth celebrating, not when the spoils are so sparse. At this rate, it will take millions of years to harvest enough Energon to restore Cybertron to its former glory. Curse Optimus Prime! Curse him and his compassion for the humans!
The other Decepticons keep their distance as their leader slams his fist into a pillar. Only Soundwave seems nonplussed as he conducts a scan of the planet below. The map momentarily focuses on Princeton, New Jersey. In the 2 years since the first film, Sam Witwicky has graduated from high school and been accepted to Princeton University. His girlfriend, Carly Spencer, graduated a year before him and has been attending MIT ever since. The two of them have made the long-distance thing work, and with him going to Princeton, they're going to be quite a bit closer going forward. Noticeably absent is Sam's trusted guardian, Bumblebee. The two of them have become fast friends, and while Bee still occasionally finds time to spend with Sam, his efforts are mostly needed with the other Autobots in procuring Energon and battling Decepticons. Besides, with the Allspark gone, it does not seem necessary to protect Sam 24/7. That does not mean that the Autobots have completely cut ties with Sam, but they choose to keep a safe distance in order to allow him to live his life. Also, well, the Decepticons couldn't care less about Sam as he played no part in their defeat in this version of events. That being said, his destiny and that of the Transformers remains entwined. In the original film, Sam is a tad too important to the plot. This was my main piece of frustration when writing this script, how to keep Sam relevant without making him the main character. Seriously, why in a film called Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen is the main crux of the plot based around Sam Witwicky and his contrived relationship problems? This movie is so bad, guys. Sam's college scenes will be few and far between, mostly serving as setup for what he's doing before he ends up wrapped up in the plot. There will not be an Allspark-induced breakdown scene, nor will there be a random frat party, or the introduction of the most useless character, of Leo Spitz. After his classes, Sam and Carly have a talk on the phone in which they set up a date for later that afternoon. A date with no Autobots, no school, just the two of them. This phone call is noticeably intercepted by Soundwave, who is monitoring all Earthbound communications. Much like in the original film and Transformers Prime, Soundwave is tuned into every piece of technology on the planet, except the Autobots' frequency. This allows him to monitor energy sources, warn other Decepticons of military activity, and plan infiltrations. With much of modern technology being based off of Megatron, this makes Soundwave's job much easier. One thing that Soundwave has noticed is that Sam Witwicky is no longer under Autobot protection. While Sam spends time at college, the Autobot base receives a visitor. With a new president having been recently inaugurated, certain policies are being evaluated. While Nest has less power over the Autobots in this version of events, they are still technically foreign refugees. Giant, robotic foreign refugees from space. Chip serves as civilian liaison to the Autobots, while now Major Lennox serves as military liaison. However, Chip and Lennox are not alone on this particular visit. Security Advisor Theodore Galloway of the President's staff is with them.
First time here, sir?
You know it is, Major. Spare me your asinine questions.
Just thought I'd prepare you, Mr. Advisor. This isn't your typical assignment.
I've read the reports.
The reports don't do them justice.
The elevator stops and the doors open. As Galloway steps in, his breath is taken away by the gargantuan robotic lifeform standing before him. From the slight form of RC to the massive Ironhide, and, of course, the majestic Optimus Prime.
Security Advisor Galloway, meet Optimus Prime.
Optimus approaches Galloway, Lennox, and Chip, who are stood on a platform. Imagine how Agent Fowler greeted the Autobots in Transformers Prime. In fact, imagine the Autobot base is looking similar to Outpost Omega-1 from that show. Recovering from the shock of seeing 9 gigantic alien robots, Galloway steps forward.
Mr. Prime.
Prime will do, Agent Galloway.
Prime. The President has some concerns.
Didn't have any concerns 2 years ago.
It's a different president now.
What, did the old one die?
Galloway is stunned, unsure of how to respond. No, guys, we elect new presidents when their term is up.
Crazy. Anyway, the President is concerned with the recent string of Decepticon activity. Hong Kong, the Uinta Mountains, Afghanistan, Diego Garcia. People are beginning to ask questions, such as, what are they looking for one? Why are they still here, for another? The so-called Allspark was destroyed in the Battle of the Mojave. From what we've gleaned from the now-defunct Sector 7's records, the Allspark was the reason the Decepticon leader, designated NBE-1, or Megatron, came here in the first place. With this Allspark destroyed, the President feels that there is only one reason why the Decepticons should still be here.
And what reason would that be?
You.
The Autobots all look at Galloway with a mixture of shock and disdain.
Surely there are other worlds in this universe to conquer, perhaps even close to your home world. Why then would Megatron and his cronies still be here? To get revenge on you.
What the frag are you suggesting, Fleshy? Bro! Kids, stand down. Let Prime handle this.
As I was saying, it seems as if the Decepticons are only here to hunt you and yours down, and our planet is caught in the middle of your intergalactic war. So, let me ask, if we ultimately conclude that our national security is best served by denying you further asylum on our planet, will you leave peacefully?
Freedom is your right. If you make that request, we will honor it. But before your president decides, please ask him this. What if we leave, and you're wrong?
I decided to keep this exchange eschewing the clunky exposition and references to the Fallen from the original film because it sets up the building conflict between the Autobots and the government, which will be relevant in future rewrites. It's less important in this particular film, but establishing continuity early is important in a franchise, Michael Bay. Additionally, I thought it was a pretty good interaction between a stuck-up government man and Optimus Prime. Unable to come up with a retort, Galloway turns to leave. The Autobots gather around Optimus, who stares after the departing official, somberly. Back on the Nemesis, Soundwave is continuing to monitor the planet, including Sam. He is continually analyzing Sam and Carly's phone call, among other things. Megatron enters the bridge.
Lord Megatron.
What news, Soundwave, my most faithful servant?
As Megatron says this, Starscream looks over at him with venom in his eyes.
Development on human boy Witwicky. He has left his home. Autobot Bumblebee is no longer protecting him.
Fascinating. Yes. An opportunity, Soundwave. An opportunity to draw Optimus Prime out and crush him for his treachery. He is so sentimental about the humans. Especially that human.
From among the Decepticon ranks, the leader of the Constructicons, Scrapper, steps forward.
Lord Megatron, allow me and my Constructicons to lay this trap. Bone Crusher was one of our own. Prime's Autobots took him offline. Please, my lord, allow us to return the favor.
I admire your thirst for vengeance, Scrapper. But I must be the one to snuff out Prime's spark. Worry not. Your revenge on the Autobots will soon follow. Starscream, you will attend me.
He glares in Starscream's direction.
A chance to prove your worth, Air Commander.
Of course, Master.
Until your seekers to remain on retainer in case we may need them. Soundwave, send one of our Pretender units to lure the human out. I have the perfect disguise in mind for them.
The scene pans over to Princeton. In the previous scene, Sam and Carly set up a date for that afternoon. This will be important in a moment. As Sam is winding down between classes, a figure that looks like Carly approaches his dorm building. A figure with glowing red eyes that fade to human baby blues after she puts on her glasses. The faux Carly ascends the stairs, a murderous look in her eyes. Sam thumbs through a textbook as she approaches. The door to his dorm opens, and he turns to see what looks like his girlfriend. Carly, you're early. Faux Carly cocks her head to one side. Carly, are you alright? The Pretender extends her arm, which transforms into a small cannon.
and hits Sam with a stun ray before he can react.
Soundwave. The human has been captured.
Confirmed. Take him to rendezvous point.
The Pretender picks Sam up and throws him over her shoulder. As she walks away, Carly pulls up on her motorcycle. Seeing a replica of herself lifting her boyfriend effortlessly startles her, and she stares for a moment. The Pretender looks back at her and grins wickedly, her eyes glowing Decepticon red, as if daring Carly to call for help. Carly pulls out her phone and navigates to a contact labeled with an Autobot insignia. A while later, Sam wakes up strapped to a table in an abandoned warehouse. As he comes to, he notices the leering face of Megatron staring down at him, with Starscream and two others who closely resemble him, one blue and one black and purple, standing beside him. These, naturally, are Thundercracker and Skywarp, the other two most popular Seekers aside from Starscream himself. Looming in the background is the hulking form of Blackout.
Remember me, boy?
Megatron.
You are afraid. Good.
The Decepticon leader leans in closer, causing the young man to flinch.
Oh, don't worry, child. You aren't going to die. Yet. We need you alive for our revenge to be complete.
Revenge?
Why, on Optimus Prime and his Autobots, for dooming our planet to remain desolate, all so we can save you pathetic creatures. Your kind are beneath ours, lesser life forms, only fit to be slaves or fodder.
As he says that final word, the Decepticon Panther Ravage snaps at Sam from out of the shadows as the Condor Laserbeak circles overhead like the bird of prey he resembles. Laserbeak rests on Megatron's outstretched arm as Ravage curls up at his feet. The scene transitions to the Autobots having mobilized, spreading out around the area, with Carly astride RC and Bumblebee leading the pack. As they drive around, panic gripping them, a signal comes over Prime's comm.
Optimus, I understand you've lost a pet.
Release Sam, Megatron. It's me you want.
Correct, Optimus. It is you that I want. Come to the following coordinates, alone. Otherwise the human will be little more than a red stain on the bottom of my foot.
Without hesitation, Optimus veers off in the direction of Megatron's coordinates. Since the Autobots are spread out, none notice him leaving. Optimus nears the warehouse and transforms. As he does so, laser sights fix themselves on him. Atop the roof, Thundercracker and Skywarp keep watch.
Don't make any sudden moves, Prime.
Or do. I haven't shot anything in a decacycle.
Shut up. Enter the warehouse, Prime, but leave your rifle.
Optimus complies, anger filling his eyes. He places his rifle on the ground and walks forward. As he enters, the two Seekers follow him, their null rays trained on his back. Starscream emerges from behind a pillar and aims his own weapons at Prime. Standing in the middle of the room is Megatron, a snarling Ravage at his feet, and Laserbeak perched on his shoulder. Sam lies strapped to a table. Optimus.
Welcome, Prime, to your execution.
Optimus steps forward, but as he does, Megatron charges up his fusion cannon.
One wrong move, and there won't be enough of your human pet to fill a gas can.
What is the meaning of this, Megatron?
Why, my dear Prime, haven't you figured it out yet? You are here to answer for your crimes. The destruction of the Allspark, dooming our homeworld, betraying Cybertron for this insignificant planet.
I did what I must to save Earth from your tyranny.
Spare me the moralizing, Prime. You are a traitor to your planet and your people. The destruction of the Allspark and the fate of our planet rest firmly on your shoulders. Have you no guilt? No shame? Of course I do. After thousands of years of war, I have made many mistakes. Perhaps I have doomed Cybertron, and I must carry that regret for the remainder of my existence. But I will never regret saving any life form from you, Megatron. Is the future of our race not worth a single human life? You'd never stop at one.
In that moment, Prime draws his Energon blades.
I'll take you all on!
Optimus leaps into action, dodging attacks from the Seekers. He slices at Sam's restraints and tackles Megatron through the warehouse wall.
Hide, Sam!
Optimus and Megatron roll to a stop in the woods and begin to circle each other. Megatron draws his mace in his left hand and unsheaths the blade built into his right.
Decepticons, attack!
Blackout and the Seekers mobilize, all surrounding Optimus. The scene shifts to the other Autobots, who have met up on a back road. Anything? Nope, not a slaggin' thing. No luck. Nor me. Frag it all. Wait, where's Prime? The Autobots look around in a panic. Ratchet, scan for Prime's NSIG. He's not in viz range. On it, Jazz. Ratchet syncs up with Teletran 1 and begins a scan. Optimus' signal pops up in the woods outside of town, along with 4 Decepticon energy signatures.
Slag. Prime's in trouble.
Autobots, transform and roll out! The Autobots transform and follow their lieutenant commander. Back in the forest, the battle is in full swing. Optimus is able to disarm the Seekers, literally, in Skywarp's case. Prime and Blackout engage in a one-on-one. The hulking Decepticon attempts to use his EMP abilities to disable the Autobot leader, but Optimus is able to dodge out of the way.
You will not escape the justice of Megatron, Autobot scum!
Blackout activates his rotor blade and lashes out. Prime severs the weapon, which flies off and strikes Megatron before he can stab Optimus from behind. Once the blade is severed, Optimus leaps onto Blackout's back. Instead of ripping the Decepticon's face off, he instead slices at his servos, causing Blackout to stagger. As Prime lands, he scans his surroundings. Suddenly, a blade pierces him from behind.
Ah!
Megatron leans in close, his fanged mouth curling into a wicked grin.
One shall stand, one shall fall.
He blasts Optimus through the spark and sheaths his blade. Exploding out from Prime's chest is a golden, spherical object with silver handles and a blue gemstone core that lands a stone's throw away. Sam watches from his hiding place as Optimus falls to the ground. His eyes rest on Sam before the blue fades to gray. Just at that moment, Starscream, Megatron, and Sam all clutch their heads. A vision of a fiery figure with glowing orange eyes pierces their mind's eye. An eerie voice cuts through to them.
The last Prime is dead.